Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis Smith, and I'm here to inform you tonight of the BP oil spill, the cleanup that is taking place, and the effects it's having on the environment and the local fishing industry. On April 20th, the Deep Horizon rig was drilling for BP approximately 41 miles off the coast of Louisiana when it caught fire and exploded, sinking to the bottom of the ocean and killing 11 crew members. As it sunk, it created a huge oil spill that BP is still trying to clean up. The BP spill has dumped hundreds of thousands of gallons of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. This has caused enormous damage to the economy and the fishing industry. And the effects that it's had on the wildlife and the locals, they don't think they'll ever be able to clean it up. The locals are concerned about the cleanup. You may be asking what caused this spill. Halliburton was injecting a footing around the pipe 5,000 feet deep, basically 1 mile deep at the bottom of the ocean, to prevent leaks from happening. Well, this concrete footing starts to heat up, and as it heats up, it releases gases, and these gases will cause a blowout. There's special equipment that prevents blowouts called blowout preventers, but unfortunately they didn't work. This blowout, and it reached the surface of the oil rig, it erupted in flames and explosions and caused the oil rig to actually catch on fire and sink. As it sunk, the pipe broke off at the bottom of the ocean 5,000 feet deep and caused this oil leak that is happening today. There are hundreds of boats trying to clean this effort up. They're putting out thousands of miles of berms, and even thousands of miles of berms are being manufactured today to help clean this mess up. The U.S. Coast Guard has been injecting a dispersant at the oil well site, trying to cause the oil to coagulate and fall to the bottom of the ocean versus going up and causing an oil slick. And the effects of this dispersant on the environment, we don't know what the effects are going to be. It's a harsh chemical. In fact, the Pentagon has actually authorized 2 planes to fly over and drop this dispersant on the oil slick itself. BP has tried several things to stop the oil from leaking. One of the things that they tried was a dome that they had placed over the pipe. Now, they never attempted this at 5,000 feet at that depth before, and it didn't work. Methane gases were being released, which were forming ice crystals underneath the dome, which plugged it up and prevented the oil from flowing up to the ship at the top of the water surface to capture the oil. It also caused the dome to become buoyant and lift up off the ground, so they had to remove it and place it off to the side. Their second attempt was basically taking a pipe and shoving it into the other pipe, kind of like you would put 2 straws together as a kid. This has worked, but it's only capturing 1/4 of the oil that's coming out, so 3/4 is still leaking into the ocean. This has had a huge impact on our local economy and our environment. Thousands of shrimp boats and oyster boats are sitting dockside. They can't go out and work. Local restaurants are having to go outside to other areas to buy their shrimp and their oysters and have them shipped in, which is causing the shrimp prices, the restaurant prices, to go up and affecting local consumers. Hundreds of charter boats sit vacant. No one wants to go out and fish in the Gulf. Thousands of hotel rooms sit vacant. No one wants to sit on a beach where there's tar. And although the impact on wildlife has been minimal, experts say if the oil reaches the coastline and the wetlands, that they will never be able to be cleaned up. They're not sure how it will actually affect the wildlife, but it'll be devastating. And due to the winds and the weather and the current, the oil slick is actually affecting the East Coast. It could be taken by the current down around the Florida Keys and up the East Coast. This oil spill is a catastrophic to our environment and our wildlife and our economy. Businesses in Louisiana are suffering. 2 of them have actually closed because of lack of tourism. Fishermen are struggling financially because they can't work. They've been prevented from going out and fishing. Hotels are empty with hundreds of vacancies happening and cancellations happening every day. I know that nobody is taking this lightly, but we need to get this cleaned up. We need to focus more efforts on cleaning and stopping this oil from leaking. We cannot stop drilling though. America is too reliant on oil, and we can't continue to buy oil from foreign countries. We need to drill ourselves. The government needs to step up the efforts on safety precautions and regulations and enforce those safety regulations before they issue the permits. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for any questions.
Why isn't the government doing more for helping clean up?
Well, that's a great question. Back during the Exxon Valdez spill, the government was very involved with that cleanup, and Congress actually enacted laws after that cleanup which prevented the government from getting involved with the cleanup effort. Actually, the company who's responsible has to do the cleanup, and the government just oversees it as an oversight company or an oversight agency.
Compared to the Exxon Valdez spill in '89, how much bigger, is this any bigger than that spill?
Experts predicted that if the oil leak was not contained within 30 days, or by the 20th of this month, that it would surpass the Exxon Valdez spill. And it's going to have huge implications on our local environment, especially as it reaches the wetlands. There's still oil in the mud from the Exxon Valdez spill, and they will never be able to clean up all the oil from this when it reaches the wetlands.
The president keeps pointing the finger at BP for them being responsible, yet Deep Horizon, Halliburton, and BP are all pointing the finger at each other. Who's to blame for the accident?
Ultimately, BP carries the responsibility. It was their permit. They were the ones contracting the individuals to drill the well. It'll be up to BP to go after their contractors for any liability. Any other questions?
When it comes to legitimate loss claims, BP says they'll pay all legitimate claims. What's a legitimate claim?
That's a great question. There's no guidelines to what a legitimate claim is. They just say they'll pay legitimate claims. So it'll be up to the local fishermen and business owners to present their claim showing the loss of income that they've incurred in order to get reimbursed. Any other questions? I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight.